Greetings from Detroit, Michigan. I am Jacob Soboroff in for Ari Melber. It is my favorite night of the year, election night in America, and we have got some very, very special coverage lined up for you right now on MS Now. Voters are heading to the polls tonight for primaries in 5 states, in Kansas and in Missouri, Virginia, Washington, and right here, right now in Michigan. We are live at a polling site at Wayne County Community College District's Northwest campus in the Motor City, and Michigan is a pivotal state. Democrats need to flip at least 4 seats to gain Senate control. The path is a lot easier if they hold on to this state, to Michigan, in November. And today, an important development in Michigan, the Democrats say, highlights the need to take back power in Washington so that they can check Donald Trump's abuses of power. Listen to this, quote, "The Trump Justice Department announced that the department was monitoring poll sites in Detroit, Hamtramck, Lansing, and East Lansing, all Democratic strongholds. As the voting rights group Democracy Docket writes, quote, "It's not unusual for the U.S. Department of Justice to send election monitors to observe voting in federal elections, but targeting Democratic cities in a key battleground state raises serious concerns that President Donald Trump will directly interfere in this fall's midterm elections." I can report tonight from right here in Detroit. According to Detroit's election department, DOJ officials have visited 5 different polling sites in Detroit alone. Donald Trump has targeted Michigan with unfounded claims of election fraud for years, even though he won the state in 2024 when Biden was president. As for tonight's key Senate primary, Michigan Democrats are choosing between Progressive Abdul El-Sayed, a former public health official, and Congresswoman Haley Stevens, who's supported by party leaders. Many observers see it as a microcosm of the party's larger debates.
I don't take corporate money. You haven't seen as many of my ads. Because I'm not willing to be bought off by DTE or Blue Cross Blue Shield or Big Tech or Big Pharma. And we have an opportunity to think beyond the old politics.
You know, talking about the values of universal health care, of paid family leave, of good environmental quality and sustainability for jobs of the future. You know, I believe in a fair tax code that benefits our middle class.
When we know the outcome of this election tonight, the winner will face former Republican Congressman Mike Rogers, running unopposed in the Republican primary. Democrats will seek to tie him to an increasingly unpopular Donald Trump. Earlier today at the legendary Eastern Market here in Detroit, I was shooting Prediction Markets, the segment for my show, Connect. I talked to voters about today's race. El-Sayed or Stevens?
El-Sayed.
You think he's going to win?
I do.
Stevens or El-Sayed?
El-Sayed by a hair.
Why Stevens over El-Sayed?
She does what she says she's going to do, and she's very honest, trustworthy.
Stevens or El-Sayed?
I voted for Stevens.
I voted for El-Sayed.
So wait a minute, the two of you here shopping.
Great friends.
Great friend.
Agree on most everything.
We got El-Sayed and we got Stevens. What's the difference for the two of you?
I'm going progressive this election. I'd like to blow everything up and start from scratch.
And you went with the trusted voice, or for you, the trusted voice here in Michigan.
Yes.
So who are you for? What's your prediction?
El-Sayed. Oh, are you kidding me? Come on. Get money out of politics, baby.
It's a toss-up.
And that is where we begin the balance of power in the United States Senate, running through right here in Michigan. We have a huge show ahead. Our very own Ali Velshi has a breakdown at the big board. We are also tracking the news on Todd Blanche, as well as the Trump administration surveilling protesters. You are not going to want to miss that. But we are going to start with our panel. My dear friend Chris Jansing, MS Now Chief National Correspondent, and Craig Mauger, State Politics Reporter with the Detroit News. It's good to see you both. It's an extraordinary day. I've been saying this all day. It doesn't look like long lines, but Chris, because of the way that they vote here, you may not be able to tell. And I know you've been tracking enthusiasm on the ground.
Yeah, and I think early voting has been very high. I think you would agree with that. What is it, 1.3, over 1.3 million now. But the number that folks who I talked to before I came here told me to track was low propensity voters. And here's why. Abdul El-Sayed is a candidate who they wanted to see. Would he bring people either back to the fold, people who have gotten so sick of the political process they think it isn't answering their needs, that they've kind of dropped out, or people who frankly have never been involved because they don't really believe that their vote makes a difference. Let me show you the numbers that I got from the Secretary of State's office. 53,000 people who early voted, 53,000 had only voted in one of the past 3 presidential elections.
These
which
are
is the
generally non-voters. Or
Generally-
low propensity voters, as you say.
And this is the lowest propensity voters. 18,386 people cast absentee ballots who did not vote at all in the last 3 general elections. So I talked to Abdul El Sayed this afternoon when we were over at Eastern Market. Look, they see that as a good sign, but in places like where we're sitting, I think that could be a little bit of a different story.
What are you seeing, Craig? This election, they keep saying it's a bellwether on the Democrats, but ultimately, I have talked to so many Democrats who say they are going to unite behind whomever emerges here as a referendum ultimately on Donald Trump come November. And this is a state, which I said earlier in the broadcast, that he has hit time after time with allegations of voter fraud. He has come here and said he has become the Michigan Man of the Year, a position that does not exist. I think voters here seem to be tiring of Donald Trump's message. At least that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to one Republican voter who said Trump's endorsement didn't matter to her because she was tired of him. So, I mean, there are views all over the place about how people see the president right now. This is really a test of the Democratic electorate in Michigan and maybe nationally right now, as you all have outlined. There's a theory that in Michigan, these progressive anti-establishment voters make up about 30 to 40% of the electorate. That's how it's always been. Abdul can't win this race. Heads up with Haley. That's what people thought going into this summer. And now the voters have turned that on their heads. Abdul has a chance to win. He has a chance to overturn how people see Democratic politics in this battleground state. And that's why the eyes of the nation are on this state right now.
What do you hear? What's your reporting tell you? I said to our viewers that I heard from the Detroit elections officials that there have been at least 5 sightings, because they have to sign in actually, inside the polling places like the one that we're outside of these federal election monitors. And they say that they're looking into issues like poll watcher readiness. What's your reporting tell you about this monitoring operation sent by the federal government?
Yeah, I think there's 2 tracks here. There's one track that is, so far today, it seems to be going smoothly. No one's raising any concerns about what the monitors are doing. The other track is, why are they here? And the basis for what the Justice Department has said the reasoning is for them to be in Michigan today, it doesn't line up with what election officials from either side of the aisle have seen. So their actions are not concerning. The questions as to what this portends for November, that's what I think concerns a lot of people.
Chris, the money has been just as big a part of the conversation here as the substance of the issues. Abdul El Sayed continues to point out the outside spending on behalf of the Congresswoman, and it is exponentially larger than anything that he's gotten. What are the numbers?
Yeah, central to his theme is no outside money, no corporate money in his campaign. And he believes that so many people take outside money. And this, I've watched it resonate with people when he's talked to them one-on-one. I went canvassing with him last night, and he talks about, what do you think that money buys? Do you think it buys loyalty to you or to the corporation or the company or the PAC that gave it to him? Almost $81 million has been spent in one Democratic primary.
It's the most expensive in Michigan history, if I'm not mistaken.
Most expensive ever for a Senate race primary. It's unbelievable. And 63.9 super PACs and other well-funded organizations for Haley Stevens. 34 pro Haley Stevens, 20 million opposing Abdul El Sayed, compared to 7.3 million that he spent. The advertising is incredibly lopsided. And look, again, I spent a lot of time in crowds with El Sayed supporters, but today, just walking through the Eastern Market, talked to one Republican who said, you know, I've been Republican for a long time, but I just can't do it anymore, and I'm going to vote for El Sayed. And one of the things that he mentioned was this influence of outside money, and so many people have said who support El Sayed, I don't want other corporations outside of Michigan people telling me who I should vote for.
I want to introduce all of you guys at home to 3 people that I just met. They're all here voting as part of this process. And as I said earlier, it is not an indication that there isn't enthusiasm because you're not seeing long lines. In fact, it's the opposite. Let me get all of your names. Tell me who you are.
Alex.
Alex?
Darnell.
Darnell?
Olivia.
Olivia. And have you all voted already today? Okay. If I'm not mistaken, you voted absentee, and you have voted here in person?
Yes.
And you voted here in person. Talk to me about the race. What brings you out today? Why did you decide to come out in a primary election?
Well, because I always vote. People died for the right to vote. I've never missed an election. Never.
And in particular, of the two candidates, Stevens and El Sayed, who's got your attention? Who's got your vote today?
Unfortunately, El Sayed, because that seat has been held by an African American occupant since 1965.
And your decision in terms of the issues, what are the issues that are most important to you?
Well, the people who live in that district aren't being represented. They just aren't.
And why absentee? You're here in person. Did you drop your absentee? Thank you very much. Why did you drop your absentee? You dropped it off here today?
No, I dropped it off in the mail like 4 weeks ago.
And so what brings you out to the polling place today? If you voted 4 weeks ago, you're on top of it.
My husband goes to school here.
I see.
So, and I just came up. But yes, I voted.
Like your husband, did you go for Mr. El Sayed, Dr. El Sayed?
I did Haley.
Why Haley?
First of all, Barack, he, endorsed her. And then I like the fact that, she's not a millionaire. She's one of us.
She worked in his administration.
Yeah. So I like that about her.
If she doesn't prevail tonight, will you back Al Sayed like your husband in the general election?
Yeah. Yes, I will.
And
yes.
do you think that the Democrats can hold on here to power? It's critical if they want to regain control of the Senate.
Yes, I hope so. Yes.
And how about you? You came out today to vote. Are you a regular voter?
Yes.
Okay, so why'd you wait till the last day? Why'd you vote on election day?
It's just the timing of everything, but I made sure I came out today.
And El Sayed or Haley Stevens?
El Sayed.
Okay, talk to me about what spoke to you about Abdul El Sayed.
Well, I heard that Haley Stevens had taken a lot of AIPAC money.
We were just talking about that with my fellow colleagues here.
Yeah, that turned me off from her. And then I just feel like Abdul El Sayed, he had a lot of the things in his campaign were things that I cared about and that aligned with me politically. So it just made the most sense for me to go with him.
You think you'd back Stevens if to unify the Democrats if El Sayed doesn't win tonight?
I mean, if it comes down to it, yes. But I'm hoping El Sayed wins.
It's so nice to meet all of you. Thank you so much for coming by, saying hello, and
remember,
don't be a stranger.
Polls don't vote. People
do. Polls don't vote. People do. It's so nice to meet you.